Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Adams, and always my furry little co-host this week.
Yeah, Mike Adams. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, you're furry, aren't you?
Said that twice.
Got to get you in the mood for the show today. You seem like you're dragging a little bit.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to remind everybody we are part of the Outdoor Radio Network, and we are also now on Skinny Moose Radio. If you go over to skinnymoose.com and click on their live streaming link, you can catch us Tuesdays at 1 o'clock and listen to us on the internet while you're at work or wherever you might be on the computer. So check it out. Now, you're a little wore out. Did you have a rough weekend this weekend, Michael?
Yeah, I walked a lot.
Yeah, did a little bit of walking, and we got out and did quite a bit on Saturday, actually. But let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about the beginning of the week. Yeah. Here in Michigan, we've had, bad weather all through the winter, and we've talked about snow, and this week, man, it finally started to warm up a little bit.
Almost into the 80s. It was about 76 here.
Yeah, I got 74, 75, 76 one day. Yeah, it was really warm. And I don't know if it was warm Monday, nice Tuesday, and I think it was warm again Wednesday or Thursday. Then the bottom fell out again.
Yeah. That's
Michigan for you. Like we always say, wait 5 minutes, weather will change. But earlier in the week, specifically Monday morning, I remember you got up for school, and I don't know if it was you or one of the other kids that got up and noticed out back. I think it was one of the other kids. Turkeys were out.
Yeah, because when I get up, it's dark out.
And they were out in the back field, and there was a nice little group of hens there, and then on each end of the group was two toms, and they're probably 20 yards apart from each other. One would strut and puff up and do their dance, and then all of a sudden the other one would do it, and it was this back and forth battle. And then off to the side was some satellite jakes sitting there, and they were kind of doing their thing, sitting there watching, because I really don't think they wanted to get their butt kicked by the big boys. So it was interesting to see that. And, it's just another sign, man. Spring's, finally here in Michigan, and it's finally coming across the Midwest, and people are getting out and doing some stuff, and the animals are starting to react a little bit. I know a lot of ducks back in the pond.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of ducks this weekend while we were out, too. So a lot of things going on now. Spring's getting here, so pretty soon we'll be out doing some morel mushroom hunting and turkey hunting here, and we got out like last weekend, like we'd said before, and did a little bit of, I don't know. Are you tired there?
Yeah.
You want me to wake you up and get you a cup of coffee, or you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think the guys at home want to hear you yawning there, big fella. So
at a point.
Yeah, we'll make sure we keep them awake here, folks. I'll prop them up, or I'll get a cattle prod and I'll give them a shock.
Ow.
But no, we got the boat out last weekend, so like I say, lakes are starting to thaw out. But we had to make a run up to Cadillac this weekend and take care of our truck tent situation, so to speak. Again, yeah. We picked up the truck tent last week, and we went to put it on the truck to do kind of a dry run, and the doggone thing was the wrong one. So the gentleman was nice enough to swap it out for me, and we had to meet him up in Cadillac, which is up in the middle northern part of the state. So it's probably a good 2.5 hour drive for us. And we started out Saturday morning. We were actually going to take the pickup truck up and put some wood duck boxes out on the 40 acres. But the price of gas, the way it is right now, really didn't want to spend a lot of money on that. And we really weren't prepared to put duck boxes out just yet. And the weather was bad. So we had a lot of rain Friday throughout the whole state. So I was kind of concerned about getting into the property. It sets in a little low spot, and the road can get pretty nasty. And with the snow, melting off and all the water and everything, I thought, probably better just take a little car and save about
or go-kart.
Yeah, save some money on gas. So, it was just me and you going up anyway. Nobody else was riding along. So we took the puddle jumper up, and we started heading up the freeway. And we no more got just north of Flint, just out of town, maybe 10 miles at the very most. And Michael and I are sitting talking, about hunting and fishing like we usually do. And all of a sudden come flying right across the 6-lane highway. I mean, it's 6 lanes of traffic, 3 one way and 3 the other way. This humongous bird come busting off from the west side of the road across the east side. And it was maybe 20, 30 yards in front of us at the very most. And he's like, hey, look at that bird, and I'm like, well, I seen it right away too. And I'm like, dude, that's a turkey.
Yeah.
That thing come flying across the freeway. It was a hen turkey. in full flight.
It was weird.
Obviously, something must have pushed it or jumped it or scared it for it to be flying. I mean, it was 8:15 in the morning, full daylight. Really no reason for him to be flying off a roost. And I don't think they had a roost right next to a freeway anyway. So that it was kind of exciting to see that. And then on the way up, we saw another turkey putting alongside the freeway, and then we saw some deer on the way back next to the freeway. So we got to see quite a bit of wildlife that day, and actually saw 2 more turkey on the way home, I believe. So, but on the way up, we got near Midland, which is about halfway to where we were going, and it starts snowing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was snowing to beat the band. It started to rain at first when we left that morning, and then all of a sudden it's just snow. And by the time we got to Cadillac, there was an inch of snow on the ground, and it was cold. So, but
I guess we beat the record.
Well, I don't know. See, that I didn't hear anything. We were within a half inch of snow of breaking the record here in Flint, the Flint area, and I don't know whether we got. I know we didn't get any snow down here that day, but we did wake up this morning. There was snow on the ground, so we may have. I really haven't checked the weather reports, but yeah, we've had a long, cold, hard winter here in Michigan, and it's finally starting to break. So hopefully we'll get some more of those warm days. Like I said, we had 70 on Thursday here in the middle part of the state, and it's in the 30s the next morning. I mean, the temperature dropped so quick, and actually we had some tornadoes or tornado warnings. We had some funnel clouds sighted, but nothing hit the ground. So
lots of hail.
Yeah, a lot of hail. Big cold front moved through, and the temperature dropped real quick. But
it went from 70 to 30 in not even
a couple hours.
Half an hour.
No, not here. Not here. It didn't. It was just there was a long line of storms come through, and it was right behind them. A couple hours time, it dropped. It dropped pretty quick. But we got up to Cadillac, and the gentleman was nice enough to swap a tent out for us. And actually, when we got there, we put the tent that we had on his truck, and because he had a big show. It was actually an RV camper show he was setting up for. And we're there, and I was like, shoot, since I'm here, let me help you set this thing up so I can see how it goes up. And that thing popped up real quick.
Yeah.
It was really nice, the way it went together. And it's something that one person can do fairly easily by themselves. And actually, Michael, I think if we get a chance next weekend, if the weather's right, or maybe even one day this week if I'm not doing anything, I'm going to set the video camera up, and we'll do a little demonstration video as to how that goes on and what it looks like. But we got that taken care of, and you bought a fillet knife from the guy.
Yeah, I bought a really cool, I think it's Rada.
Yeah, Rada.
Yeah, Rada knives.
And it has lifetime warranty on it.
Yeah, it has a really nice handle. It's like a soft sponge type thing.
Yeah, it's a soft rubber grip and what they call ergonomical grip, so it fits your fingers and everything real nice. And picked that up from him, and he had a little sample of some wasabi peas out, and you got a hold of them.
Dang. Them things are hot.
Yeah, so he didn't want me to buy a bag of those, huh?
Yeah.
He didn't know what they were, so I had him try them, and he found out real quick what wasabi was.
Yeah.
But anyway, after that, we headed down to the 40 acres. We were in the same general area, and I thought, we can't get in with the little car, but let's just drive by, and if it's not too bad, at least we can walk in and check it out. So we got over to the area where it's at, drove back there, and the dirt roads were in great shape. I was really surprised at how good they were. And then we pulled down to the 2-track, pulled in, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 yards to the top of the hill where it drops off to go down into the bottom land. And we couldn't go on any further had we had the truck because there was 3 logs across the road. 3 trees fell across the road. Since, actually, I hadn't been there in 2 years. And I don't think you have either.
No, I've been there once.
And my dad and my brother-in-law were up there last year cleaning up some stuff. And everything was just pretty much like they'd left it, The other guys who hunt in the area, they haven't messed with anything, and didn't look like anybody had been in there. But, yeah, there's 3 big trees that fell across the road, so we got some cutting to do. But we did manage to walk in back there and saw a lot of deer sign, which is good. Saw where they've been running through there quite a bit, a lot of fresh tracks, a lot of droppings. And what did you think about the place, man?
I think it was cool. I want to quit hunting at the lodge.
Yeah. You want to start deer hunting up there?
Yeah, I haven't seen any good stuff up there at the lodge since I shot mine. And that, needs to say, I wasn't really that big of a deer.
Yeah.
Well, right. I mean, for my first year, I liked it.
It was a nice deer. But the sign gets you kind of encouraged, especially in the spring, man. You've been locked down by snow all winter, and you've been ice fishing, and whatever else you've been doing in the winter, and all of a sudden,
coyote hunting.
Yeah, you get out in the spring and you start to see a little bit of deer sign, and that gets you excited. But what else about the property?
The marsh.
Yeah, you like that.
Yeah, that's where we're going to be opening morning duck season.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
We got some stuff to say about that later on. I know there's some things on duck hunting you want to talk about, along with some other things in Mikey's game bag, and we'll cover that later. But there's a 5-acre. It's basically a beaver dam across the main road. The road going through has been cut in half between two dirt roads, and you can't get through on the 2-track because the water has washed it out. And there's a beaver dam there now along one edge of it, and they've backed the water up onto the property. And there's probably a good 5 acres underwater. Like a marsh grass is growing around there. It's just a great place for waterfowl. And last year when we started duck hunting, I didn't even think about it. Yeah. And I told you, I said, we need to go up here and check it out sometime. So that's what we did. And we pulled in there, and man, there was ducks everywhere. In 10 minutes we saw over 30 ducks. There's mallards, pintails, the woodies.
Yeah.
The woodies
some geese.
Yeah, and there's geese there, and the woodies is really cool. I mean, there was a good handful of them there, and they were calling, and that was really nice to hear that. That's a totally different sound than the regular quack, 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 quack. They get this little whistle, and it's just so cool to hear. If you guys have never heard it before, it's if you can find it on a website, I imagine you can probably go to Ducks Unlimited. Actually,
I have a call, but I'm not that good at it.
The woody, yeah. But it is really cool to hear, and it was nice seeing them because they're so colorful too. And even the pintails, the black and white on the pintails, it's just it's different than what we're used to seeing. Just the basic mallards that we're always seeing. So, but you like that, huh?
Yeah.
So you said we want to make that a duck camp. So what do you think we need to do to it?
We need to build a few blinds and put up some wood duck boxes, probably.
Yeah, we gotta get our wood duck boxes up there.
I think it'd be cool to make a little dock somewhere on there. You can put a canoe or something in. Yeah,
we're gonna have to do something because there's no way you're gonna wade across that when you shoot one. We're gonna have to take the canoe up with us, and we've already got the camper there. Got the little pole camper. That thing was nice and high and dry. Check that all out, and everything's just like it was when we left, which is really nice. Sometimes you worry about being on private property and you haven't been around in a while. You wonder if somebody's going to mess with it or what have you. But everybody in that area is pretty cool. So, we're going to get back up there and hopefully put up some blinds and get ready for duck season and deer season both. And that's what's nice about Michigan here is duck season opens right around the same time bow season does. So, maybe we can do a little duck hunting in one day and bow hunting the next, or bow hunting first and then duck hunting, whatever we can do. So, got that to look forward to. But then on the way back, up near that same area, we have a nice, really nice outdoor store. It's called Jay's of Clare. It's in a little town called Clare. And Michael grabbed me by the arm, twisted my arm real hard, and made me pull over and stop. So we had to go in there. Well, why don't you pick it up here and tell everybody what we were kind of doing in there and what we were looking at.
Some of the things that we saw there, the gun section is really cool. They have a whole bunch of cases. They have different sections. They have almost every gun possible you can think of. And above the counters, they have like these, they're kind of like shadow boxes. And they have like an era from like say 1975 to present or something. And they have all historic like shotguns, definitely for historic shotguns, historic pistols, and historic stuff like that. Yeah,
that was really cool to see all the older stuff there. One thing that I actually you saw it before I did, that I thought was really cool. I've only seen pictures of it, and actually Bob Rich is the one that turned us on to it. Was the Ruger 22 Charger pistol?
Yeah, I want one of them.
It's the action of a 10-22 rifle built on a pistol frame.
Yeah, basically with the barrel cut off and the stock cut off.
It's pretty cool looking, different looking gun though. I mean, it is definitely different. It's almost like as big as the old musket style type pistols, but it's just, I don't know, it's just a little different looking thing.
I noticed something that one didn't have, that when you buy them from Ruger, the ones that they have, they come with a bipod on them.
Yeah, that one didn't have a bipod on the bottom of it. Yeah. So what else did you like there that you saw? Or I know we spent a lot of time looking around in that place.
Yeah. They had a really big call section for like turkeys and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I was trying to talk you into letting me buy one of them heartbreakers, but that was a pretty expensive call.
Yeah, those things are about $45.
Yeah.
You know, we got plenty of turkey calls right now, and hopefully we can find one at Cabela's on the way down. I think there might be a little cheaper there. Not really sure.
Probably. And they have a good trapping section there. And then they have lots of used guns.
Trapping, you mean like steel traps and stuff like that? Or are you talking about shooting trap?
No. I'm talking about trapping for like varmint and stuff.
Okay. You know what I like there is their varmint call section.
Yeah.
They had a lot of calls for coyote hunting, for varmint hunting and stuff like that.
Like gander and stuff, they only have like a couple.
Yeah, they had a real nice section and selection of stuff there. The one thing I was looking for, though, and I've had a hard time finding, I can find it online, but I can't find it in any of the stores, is something that our taxidermist had talked about back during coyote season was a woodpecker distress call. And it's basically a mouth call, you know, with a reed in it and you blow on it. And he said that the guys around this area are really starting to use them, and they're having really good success with it because it's something different that the coyotes haven't heard. You know, they're not used to hearing that and then being shot at, is what I'm trying to say, you know. I know we talked to Bob Rich about that, and he actually got one. And he took it out with him, and from what he wrote in his blog about it, that if they ever open up woodpecker season in Connecticut, he's going to be all over it because he said it works. You know, he said he had woodpeckers flying all around him and stuff. So the call works for woodpeckers, but he didn't have any good luck with it calling coyotes.
One thing that they didn't have there was actually tapes that you can put in your electronic caller. I saw like little card chips, but they didn't have like tapes.
You know, I never really noticed that. I was looking for that mouth call, and because I remember you did. You said something. You said, "Or are you looking for a tape, or are you looking for a call?"
Yeah.
And you know, I just kind of out of sight, out of mind. I didn't even think about it. But a lot of these new e-callers, that's what they're going to is little chips, little I don't know, SD card chip type things, memory chips.
You know, a little handheld that kind of looks like a thermosol, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And it has like a little thing, and it has like 5 buttons on it.
Yeah.
And it's a little thing, you push it, and the names go in. It's like a little card type thing. It says the names on the front of it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, either interchangeable cards for whatever type of game you can call.
Yeah.
You know, actually, you got to make sure it's legal to use those in your state, first of all. Because we can't use them for turkey here. I know a lot of states you can't use them for turkey. But we can use them for predator calling. We can use them for crows and things like that. Well, we're getting a little tight on time here, Michael. I'll tell you what. Let's take a quick break here real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the rest of our trip over to Jay's. What do you think? That sound good? Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll be right back after this.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on the OutdoorRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back, everybody. And as you remember there before we went to break, we were talking about our little weekend outing up to the sporting goods store there at Jay's. And, Michael, we talked about a few different things here, but what was something else that caught your eye?
They had a lot of canoes there. It was pretty cool.
Especially those handmade, they looked handmade wood laminate type of canoes. Those things were awesome.
Yeah.
Would you say that price on them was? One of them? Like
the shorter one, like the 12-footer or 10-footer, was like $6,000.
It was incredible, the price of them. But, man,
they looked so cool.
They were definitely beautiful. I mean, you can tell there's a lot of time and a lot of hours put into that, making one of those. But, yeah, that place was pretty cool, man. It had a lot of good stuff in there. It was pretty big.
They had a really big fly shop.
Yeah, I know. Somebody called me on my cell phone. I had to take a call, so I went outside and for probably, I don't know, a half hour.
Yeah, and he left me in the fly shop.
Big mistake. I told my friend, I said, I got to go. I said, he's going to have 2 shopping carts full of stuff I might have to pay for it. But, Yeah, you spent a lot of time over in the fly shop.
Yeah, I picked up a few materials that I needed, and then I actually bought a new vise, which I'm going to talk more about in Mikey's game bag.
Okay. Yeah, I remember last week you talked about vices and fly time in Mikey's game bag, so
yeah.
you're going to cover that in that part of the show tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
They had a lot of just like regular fishing, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one of the coolest things they had there was right next to the fly shop. And it actually smelled really bad. They had a taxidermist shop right there.
Yeah.
You could smell like the paint because he was painting something.
Yeah, I think was he glossing a fish or was he painting a fish or something?
No, he was actually using like an airbrush or something on a mount.
Okay.
Of some foreign animal.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention to what he was mounting back there, but they had all kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah.
A lot of neat looking ducks and stuff like that. Some nice coyote mounts and just all kinds of stuff. Like you said, they had some good exotic stuff there too that people had brought in from their trip over in Africa probably or wherever they were at when they shot it. But yeah, we spent a good little amount of time there at Jay's, hanging out there. Yeah. It's a nice little stop if you're in mid-Michigan. They've got 2 stores. The one there in Clare, and then one up in the northern part of further north, off of 75 there in I think it's in Gaylord. So, or maybe it's Grayling. I can't remember. It's one of the 2. They're real close together there, but they've got signs all up and down the freeway. So, but yeah, we spent a part of our afternoon there. So it wasn't a bad Saturday. We got out and what we thought was going to be just a boring drive north. Turned out to be a great day. We had a lot of fun there on the 40 acres. We had a lot of fun there at the sporting goods store too. So.
Besides you spilling coffee all over yourself all the way up.
Yeah, I kept spilling coffee. I don't know. I must have had a hole in my lip that day. I don't know. Well, anyway, Michael, you remember a couple weeks back, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, we interviewed a buddy of mine, Ken Johnson. You know Ken.
Yeah, I remember him.
And he did that self-guided deer hunt. Down in Missouri. Well, he recently went down to Arkansas on a self-guided fishing trip.
Is that the one where I tied the flies for him?
Yeah. Him and 7 other guys loaded up and went down, and they actually had a little rough go of it, and I actually didn't even think that they were going to go because of all the flooding and all the problems that they were having down there. And actually this week he called me up and he got back, and you and I went over and we did the interview with him, and we've got an interview with our buddy Ken Johnson and what he went through and some of the things he saw while he was down there. Now, the audio is not the best. I had a little bit of buzz in the audio, so I had to do some tweaking on the audio. And just bear with us on it. It's just it's not one of my better recordings. And actually, the recorder that I had, the memory ran out on it towards the end. But it's got most of the good stuff in there, what you need to hear. So here is our interview with our good friend Ken Johnson.
So they were getting ready to turn it loose at that time.
Yeah. See, these are our pictures standing on top of the dam right here.
Okay.
That's a campgrounds right down in there.
Okay.
And there's kind of like 2 levels to the campgrounds, and they're making everybody move up to the higher level because what they were doing is they were, watching, way downriver.
Uh-huh.
As soon as they could take more water downriver, they were opening up the gates. See, and then this is standing on top of the dam looking back the other way.
Okay.
And usually when we're there, you can see a rock line all the way around, a good 7-8 foot of rock line.
On the shores?
On the shoreline. That's all the way up into the trees, all the way around that whole entire...
Yeah, last night I'd heard I don't know if it was the North Fork or the White. They were getting ready to release water on one of the dams. And they said,
probably both of them.
They said it was going to be the most water they've ever released. And they said they're expecting the towns down below the dam to be flooded. They said they knew it was going to happen, but they had to do it.
Yeah, well, actually, when we were there, FEMA rolled in, and FEMA set up shop right at the resort where we were at. They've got a big convention center there. They set up there, and they've got the resort there to house people. And at one point before we got there was 54 houses underwater.
Wow.
And then there was another section that a big rock slide come down the side of the mountain, hit the road, took the road right down into the river, and they had to go back in with helicopters to take all them people out because that was the only road back into to that area there. So, but like on this brochure from the resort, so these are cabins. These are all up on stilts. You can actually park underneath all these cabins all the way down through it.
Okay.
And this is standing up
on the bank looking down on the river. So, like, this is the boat dock where all, they just park some outside, but inside there's a whole bunch of slips all the way down through here to park boats.
Okay.
And then this is a deck on, the bank up above. Uh-huh. And this is at least 30 feet above the water down there.
Okay.
When the water level come up, he's got pictures down there. The water, so then that deck is even down here. So this is even higher yet. He's got a picture standing back here. The water level, you could see all these railings, was up on these railings all the way down, every one of them. And then...
so they've got a ton of water.
A ton of water. And but this is a floating dock.
So it's moving up and down with the water level.
That dock actually come up the full 30 feet. They never lost a single thing off of that dock. But what happened was, it's right here where these trees are. That dock kept coming up, and the ramp pivots and whatnot, and forced back in to this deck. So they lost 2 sections out of this deck right here. And then just downriver is a railroad bridge and a highway bridge that goes over the river. It's every bit of 50 feet over top of the water. I mean, it's one of these bridges that's way the heck up there.
Right.
He's got a picture looking down river underneath that, and it only looks like there's 10 foot of clearance between the water and the bridge. But then we went down on the White River, and you will find trees, 16, 18 inches in diameter, and groups of trees and whatnot, the root ball and everything, stuck in another tree 30 feet up in the air.
Wow.
There's trees just everywhere that just wash down the river. I mean, you find chairs and
whatever,
tables and everything, in the trees. I mean, you wouldn't even think, how the heck they get way the heck up there, but it was just unbelievable, the amount of...
Think of the force it takes to rip them up and then carry them down and put them in a tree like that.
Yeah. And then there's just one house alongside of the river. It looked like it was almost high enough to be out of it. Mm-hmm. It had a great big huge deck, the whole length of the house on the front of it. The whole deck was jacked up in the air about 6 feet. Took all the posts right out of the ground and just it stayed hooked to the house, but it was just up in the air like that. And it was crazy. But the North Fork River was running pretty good, so that stayed fairly clear. And then as time went on, as that water hit the White River, it actually was following the shoreline. So it was muddy 3/4 of the way across the river, but it was clearing up on the one shoreline. And we were the first ones down there to figure that out and start fishing that. And we got some real good fishing down there. We kind of figured that fish hadn't been finding much to eat for a few days, so they were biting good there. So that we limited out, and then some every day we were down there and brought back our 2 days limit. And we brought back decent fish. Everything we brought back was about 13 and a half was the smallest fish, all the way up to the one guy caught that 16 and a half, and then but a lot of 14s and a lot of 15-inch.
Nice eating fish.
Oh yeah, real good eating fish.
So the water didn't mess with them. I mean, it being high.
No, there's so many fish there. Is what it usually is every time we go, it's usually just a little different technique, or even from day to day. The lures change. You just got to change up a little bit with it, and we just had lots of techniques, and quite often between the 4 of us in the boat, each one of us was fishing something different. And as soon as something started hitting hot, then we all would switch to that there. And so it don't take long to figure out what's working and what's not working.
Well, the water, the current being that fast, you couldn't fly fish. What were you using?
Well, the easiest thing to use, and when you first go down there, if you take a guided trip, the easiest thing they have you fish with is strictly a hook and corn.
Okay.
And that worked, but actually this time it wasn't the best, tactic down there. Spawn bags was probably the best tactic out of anything most of the days down there. So as far as bait fishing goes, that's the 2 major techniques that we used. But then Rapalas, number 5 Rapala was by far the for like crankbaits or spinners or anything like that worked the best. And then for the very first time, we actually was trolling upriver, at just a real slow pace.
I've never heard anybody troll for trout.
No, neither have we. But
and they got lots of laughs.
Yeah, I
but
bet.
then they stopped laughing when they saw them reeling in the big fish.
Yeah, everybody started doing it.
Yeah,
I didn't see too many people doing it, but we had a lot of people say, "How many fish you catching?" We're doing pretty good, and they may have only caught one or two little ones or something like that.
Yeah.
But then the thing that even happened even more than that is another way we figured out is when we're trolling, if one guy would hit, the current as itself was so strong that if you're back there a little ways, you almost had to stop the boat to be able to reel them in. The minute you stop the boat, when the other guys were Apollo would back up a little bit, they'd back right up to a fish, and then they'd nail it.
Okay.
So most of the time, whenever we got one, we got two.
Yeah.
And so we had, I'm sure that in most cases down there, we were catching more fish than a lot of the other guys were.
But you're working at it, too.
Yeah. And
yeah, but that's the fun kind of work, right?
Yeah. That's not work. When you have fun, it's not work. So.
Well, because then, like the other boat, they weren't trolling.
Yeah.
They didn't want to do that. And, but they weren't catching any fish either.
Yeah.
So.
They figured it out. And all of a sudden
they just, his brother Jeff was like, we're not going to do that because he'd never done it before. So, sometimes those unknown things, you don't want to, jump into it. But, they're like, fine, you guys are going to do whatever you want. We're catching fish.
We're going to limit.
Yeah. So.
No, we ate good the whole time we were down
We
there.
usually limit it out every morning. And then the afternoon, they just pitched it back.
Yeah.
And then you just go back out in the afternoon and try for the big ones. And
have fun.
This year we didn't catch any big browns. I thought we'd catch, a couple more browns. We had a little kitty going.
Oh, you don't have that picture of that brook, though.
No, I don't.
We'll have to. Now, can you scan these in and put these on your page?
Yeah.
Because he'll have to give you some of these pictures. But he did catch. It's really unusual to catch brook trout because they don't. Those are not one of the ones that
they're not native to that river.
Yeah.
Are they planted fish?
Well, no, they are native to the river, but the part that they're in, usually they don't have brooks, isn't it?
Well, they don't plant nowhere near as many, brook trout. They planted a few of them to get them started in there. So that's something we don't, typically do. They stock the rainbows real heavily. The browns do well on their own, but they also stock some cutthroat in there, but not as many. So we caught cutthroat, got a few browns. The majority is rainbow, but we did catch some brook trout, and a lot of that is usually you can't get up to the dam to fish. And this year in the higher water, on a couple of days, we were able to go all the way up to the dam to fish, and I caught a beautiful 13.5-inch brook trout. That's a pretty fish.
With the floodwaters, do those fish typically they just dive to the bottom to stay out of that swift current to keep them getting washed downstream?
Yeah, there is. The base of this river is made up of so many boulders and debris in that I'm quite sure that the majority of them.
Weren't they telling you that a lot of people weren't using enough sinkers?
Yeah,
get down deep enough.
Yeah, so they're definitely down on the bottom, and there's a lot of debris and boulders and stuff that they can get behind that the current's not going to, affect them as much.
This resort that they stay at, the dock can, the owner, they're all really helpful. Even though they don't hire a guide from them or anything,
They'll give them information.
They still are really, really nice and really happy that they come and run a cabin every year. So it's just nice to have that connection and be able to go in there and say, okay, what's going on, and they fill them in. The dock cans even on a daily basis. Well, you know how it is. The one was nicer than the other type of thing, but whatever they could do to help out.
And that's kind of where the tape ran out, or the memory ran out. We ran out of time or space on our memory chip there, so sorry about that, guys. But that was pretty much it in a nutshell. And the lady you heard there towards the end, that was Ken's wife, and she knows quite a bit about the hunting, fishing game also. Sometimes our wives aren't really into it a whole lot. I know mine's not. But tell you what, Kenny's wife is, she's definitely an outdoors type person, and she's always got some good tips and information. That's kind of what she was talking about there towards the end was, the guys down at that resort where they stayed, always give them good information, and you can rely on the locals if long as you got the right attitude. We talked to...
Sounds like the interview with Kent.
Yeah, with Kent, the guy I work with. We talked on episode 13 where he did the self-guided canoe trip where they did the float down one of the rivers up in the UP. And, he always said, if you go to the place that you're not familiar with and you talk to the locals, and if you don't act like a know-it-all, and you listen to them, they will give you good information, as long as you treat them with respect. Don't go into these places and acting like, hey, I know everything, So, but yeah, that was kind of, Ken had quite an ordeal down there, a lot of water down there on the North Fork and on the White River. And we've seen that in the news, for the last 2-3 weeks of all the floods. And, they actually caught fish. Like he said, they limited it out every day. So even in the floodwaters, they were catching them. Just a little bit different. They couldn't fly fish. I know you tied flies for him there, and you're kind of disappointed about that. But
he can keep them.
Yeah, he'll use them later on. But well, listen, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with our last segment of the show.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on theoutdoorradionetwork.com.
You guys are probably wanting to know why Michael's not on this part of the show, because this is the one where he always says, "and your favorite part of the show."
Yeah.
But because of the interview, we're pushing things back a little bit. Don't worry, guys. He'll be here with the game bag, and
you'll have to wait for the best part.
I thought this was the best part. But anyway, we're gonna cover a little bit of news here first, and I want to go through a couple little things. First thing we ran across was from the National Shooting and Sports Foundation site, and they award grants to different states for getting people involved in the outdoors. And this year they have given grants to 12 different states, and the amount of money that they're giving totally is $724,980, and this is money that is earmarked specifically for hunter recruitment and retention. And the states that are involved are Florida, Idaho, Indiana, Maryland, Mississippi, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Wyoming. And they said that there was 25 total proposals from 21 states that were submitted this year, and they handed out grants to 12 different states, which is really good. So, guys, this group here continually gives back to the community. It gives back to try to get hunters and outdoorsmen back into hunting in our great outdoors. We have that problem here. Right now we're losing hunters at a record rate. And I'm sorry, guys, I lost my concentration here. My dog is barking in the background. I apologize. I don't know if you can hear it or not. But we are losing hunters at alarming rates, and we continually give these facts. Almost seems like every week where there's something, that new report where somebody's done, and we find out that our numbers are dwindling. So this is one group who is trying to turn that around. And speaking of turning things around, a couple little issues here that have come up on the NRA's website. And the first one is out of the state of Maine. Governor Baldacci signs a no-net loss legislation into law. And basically that's what it's taking the state available hunting land that they've got, and they're making a minimum requirement that will have to be maintained and open to public hunting, which is great news. It's basically guaranteeing that there's always going to be hunting land available to the people of Maine, and that's just another way to retain people and keep them into hunting. Another state that is trying to do that is the state of Alabama. Right now they got a Senate bill that's going before their state senate that is going to get discussed, and they're going to do the same thing. They want to set aside a certain amount of land that will always be available. And a lot of what this does, too, is, some, like here in Michigan, Michael, they'll put state hunting land, state lands up for sale. And if that piece of land happens to be something that's hunting, and if we had that law here, which we don't, but if we did, and they say they sold 500 acres of land that was open to hunting, and it put them below the minimum of whatever they set, they would have to turn around and get another 500 acres somewhere else and make it open to hunting. So it would always maintain a certain level. But the state of Alabama is trying to do that also. And one other thing here off the NRA's website, the state of Kansas is, they have okayed a constitutional plan to protect hunting rights. And what they're asking, or the question given here is there a constitutionally protected God-given right to hunt and fish and trap? Well, now there is, or it says there is in Nebraska and 15 other states, but not in Kansas or Missouri. But that would change with voter approval of a constitutional amendment that was approved in the state of Kansas, 99-21, Thursday by their House of Representatives. And basically, they're going to take and bring this before the people at the state of Kansas to vote for, to make it a constitutional amendment that we have a God-given right to be able to hunt, fish, and trap. And I like that. They put the word trap in there. Anybody who's been reading my blogs of late knows what I'm talking about. I have been, as Michael likes to say, I've been up on the soapbox. I think, did we talk about this last week on the show?
What?
About the letter I wrote to the editor? I can't remember if we did or not. I don't think I did. Basically, there's been a lot of talk here in the mid-Michigan area, a lot of anti-trapping letters written to editors of local papers, and I'd had enough, and I wrote a letter to the editor of the Flint Journal, and actually it got published this week, but they hacked it. They hacked it pretty good. They cut a lot of the meat out of it, but you know what? It got heard, number one, and they put me right up against another anti-fur, anti-trapping letter in the editorial there, but you know what? It got published. That's the important thing. A good friend of mine, who happens to be the president of our local chapter, the NWTF, his letter got published on Monday. And there was another gentleman that got published on Friday in support of trapping. So there are some letters getting written, and that's what we got to do, And that's why I'm glad to see that Kansas put this in the vote there for their people to vote on, that it included trapping. It's an important part and an important tool that we use in helping regulate and maintain healthy and viable populations of animals. So, we always say hunt and fish, the great outdoors, camping, and get out there and enjoy it. Well, you know what? An important part of it's trapping. And I think I'm going to start talking a little more about this, maybe on next week's show. It'd be something good to bring up, because it's something that needs to be gotten out there. So that's good, man. I'm glad to see that. And you know what? When I first read that, Michael, I didn't catch that right away. It just kind of caught my eye here as I was reading it to the guys here on the show. That said trapping's involved, and that's good. So
It might help Jeremy out a little bit.
Jeremy
Gill.
Oh, Jeremy out in Kansas. Yeah, one of our listeners. Hey, yeah. If matter of fact, Jeremy, if you're listening, bud, I know you're getting ready to go out on that big turkey hunt. So I'm expecting an email from you and let me know how your first turkey hunt goes. He's going for the first time out there. So. Well,
by the way, you need to make sure that you get along with your girlfriend's dad really good.
Yeah, the guy he's going with. Last we heard, the girl that he was going hunting with, Dad is the CEO out there. So fly straight, buddy. But any of you other guys that are out there getting ready to go out for turkey season? I mean, we've been talking a lot about that here lately. We've got a new guy that emailed me this week, and I'll talk a little more later. But he's getting ready to go turkey hunting. And anybody who's going out there, if you're going out of state, email me. Let me know. Let me know how you did. Tell me the story about it. I mean, if you got a really good story, something different, even if it's not different, man, just email us. Let us know. We want to hear about what's going on out there. So, but yeah, Kansas, that should help him out there. If Jeremy gets into trapping, that guarantee that he's got some land out there and all the other fellow people in Kansas. So, one last thing we want to cover here on our news for the week is from our favorite website, the Outdoor News Hound. I always like to give them a plug. Basically, this article here is talking about radio-collared game animals, and are they targeted? And what we're talking about is when biologists, they'll tranquilize a deer, a bear, whatever, big game animal, and then they'll put a collar on it. and they'll do it for biological purposes to tag, to track them. And what's happening now is in the state of Washington, the Fish and Wildlife Commission is trying to get a law that would ban or bar hunters from using a telemetry equipment to hunt and track down big game animals that have been fitted with radio collars for study by the state and federal game agencies. And you're like, what? But evidently, there's been some talk. I don't know where it came from, but the wildlife officials out there in Washington, in the state of Washington, are worried that there is some new technology maybe out there, and hunters are using these radio-controlled radioed receivers, to actually start trying to hear the pings coming back from these transmitters on these big game animals. And then they can track them down and shoot them. So my question to you today, Michael, is if you saw a radio-collared animal, let's say we're out in Colorado on our elk hunt that we might get to go on this year, and there is a cow out there, and you've been hunting. Say we're going to hunt for 5 days. It's the last day of the hunt. You have yet to get a shot off, and you see one that you know you can take. It's within a decent range, and you can drop it, but it's wearing a radio collar, and it's the last evening of the hunt. Are you going to shoot it, or would you shoot it?
It just depends. I probably would shoot it if I was starving or something.
Okay, but you're not starving. I'm saying this is a hunt that we're going out on, and it could be here in Michigan. Up where we deer hunt, we had 3 different does that were collared. I think you've seen them, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen all 3.
And they've got the big bright orange band around their neck with the radio transmitter on the bottom of it, and it's dangling around their neck. And they've been up there for years. But you know what? We have chosen as our group of guys that we hunt with in that area, we're not shooting them. We're not going to take and harvest an animal that has a collar on it. Now, let's turn the tables just a little more. What if it was a trophy buck? Say that buck was collared as a youngster, like maybe a yearling that was a spike horn. Now it's a 5-year-old buck, 4.5, 5-year-old buck, and it's, maybe it's a 150, 170 class buck. Are you going to take that deer? Would you take that deer?
Yeah, I probably would.
That's a question, Obviously, that's a different question than what we're posing here, or what the people in Washington are worried about. Basically, they're worried about guys with these little handheld devices, wherever they're getting them from. I don't know. It's just this is something they're worried about, and they want to make it illegal for you to go out and track down a big game animal that's being tagged for biological reasons.
I think it'd be funny if someone did shoot one and then decides to get it mounted and have the collar around it, and people trying to track it and wind up at their house.
Well, it's like a banded duck or a banded goose or a tagged fish. It's the way they tag these big game animals in order to track and learn a little bit about them. It's an interesting question.
It's like a big goose band.
Yeah. But I can see where they're worried that somebody is going to use one of these to go out and track down. They mentioned bear, elk, bighorn ram, sheep.
Well, didn't we read a story about a bear having one of the goats on or something?
A bear had a goat's collar on. They cannot figure out for the life of them how that collar. It was a registered transmitter that they put on a goat. In a year, 2, 3 years later, I don't remember. But basically, the biologist was out there trying to find this thing, and it was still pinging. And come to find out, it was on a bear. It was around the neck of the bear. And for the life of them, they can't figure out how that happened. Yeah, that was a story we had a while back.
That would be weird.
So, you know what, guys? I'm going to put this question out there to you guys that are listening to the show. Would you take a collared animal, one that has a game collar on it that is being, being watched by biologists? Here in the state of Michigan, it's legal to take one. There's nothing that says you can't. Like I said, that's why they put them on ducks, that's put them on goose, and they put them on fish. So when you do harvest it, you give them some information. But with the radio ones, it's a little different. That way they can track them. So
I wonder if they'd want the collars back.
They probably would. I imagine they would, because they're probably pretty expensive, I would imagine. I know there's one doe left up at our place that's still running around the general area up there that still has the transmitter on it. And I think they said that transmitter is actually, the batteries wore out of it. It no longer works.
There was one really old one I remember a long time ago when I was younger, and we kept on seeing it. It was around for 13 years or something?
Well, it's been, that's what they were talking about this year. It's been around, I think, almost 13 years. We've been up there 10 years, and it was already tagged at that point. It already had the collar on it, and we've been there 10. So this doe that they're talking about, we actually talked about that last season. It was 12 or 13 years old, and that's what they were talking about. So, yeah, people have left her alone, and nobody's taken her. So she's had a lot of babies, a lot of young fawns every year. We always saw her, usually with a set of twins every year. So it's I don't know. It's an interesting question. So guys, email us and let us know what you think. Would you take one? And if so, what kind of animal would it have to be for you to be able to take one? A doe, a buck. Would it have to be a bear? Would it have to be a mountain lion? How far would you have to go up the chain there of big game animals before you would take one that was collared? So just an interesting question. Just like to kind of know what everybody's thinking. So, but that's about all I got for the news of the week here, Michael. Are you ready to take it over?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now to the best part of the show, Mikey's game bag. Well, this week on Mikey's game bag, like I said, I have a few different things to talk about. I'm going to first talk about something that actually I read, and I've been kind of researching lately about here in Michigan. They had a recent duck die-off, and they've lost almost up to, I think it's almost up to 1,000 ducks so far, almost.
Okay.
It's, from what I have read, they said that it's due to malnutrition.
Okay. What kind of ducks were they?
Most of them were canvasbacks and redheads, and they lost over 800.
That's a lot of canvasbacks and redheads. Now, where did this happen at?
All over Michigan.
Okay, but
well, mostly it's around Lake St. Clair and St. Clair River.
Okay, all right. And they said it was from starvation.
Yeah, they said because of our harsh winter that they couldn't get down because of the ice to get stuff off the bottom because they're divers.
Okay.
And with all the snow, they couldn't get anything to eat off land.
Okay.
So it was due to malnutrition.
I wonder why they didn't fly further south.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so any of you guys out there know, maybe why? Are these redheads and canvasback, they typically migrate, don't they, Michael?
Yeah.
Like every other duck?
Like all ducks.
You would think that maybe that these ducks would fly south. Maybe they got caught here in the north in the bad storms or something. I don't know. I'm not a duck hunter, so I don't know. And I don't know the biology about it. That's interesting. Everything froze over, and they're divers, so they couldn't get through the ice, obviously, to feed.
All the other divers, it didn't mention any of them dying off.
Yeah, it's interesting. Must just have been a little population of them in one area here that just didn't make it out for winter for whatever reason. It's too bad, because I know there's a limit. There's a stricter limit on canvasbacks and redheads here in Michigan, isn't there?
Yeah.
What is the limit?
I think it's like 2.
1 or 2,
yeah,
that you can take in a day on your bag limit. So
just like pintails and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's they protect those a little more than they do the mallards. So
or coots.
Yeah, coots. Okay, so is that all you got on that issue?
Yeah, on that issue. Other than that, like I was talking about vices earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a new one, and I can't remember the name of it right now.
Crest.
Yeah, Crest fly tying tools. I got it at Jay's. It's more like a stationary, but it has rotary on it. Like there's a screw on top of it, and you can unscrew it, and you can spin it.
Okay.
So it's kind of both. I tied probably about 5 flies on it last night. It's kind of tricky to get used to, but I've got almost down pat for what I need to get done with it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, why did you choose that one over some of the other ones they had? Because they had some stationary vices there.
I choose this one just because it had the other ones that had rotary feature with it.
Okay.
With a stationary, and it had a lifetime guarantee.
Okay, so that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And I know the one you got now that you had before you bought this one, kind of you wore it out.
Yeah, it was a Sunrise. It was like a $4 vice or something.
Yeah, it was pretty cheap. Matter of fact, they had it there at Jay's, I think, for $10.
Yeah,
I seen it there. So you just wanted to make a step up, and you want to put a little money into it. What did it cost you?
It cost me $70.
Actually, it cost me $70.
Yeah.
He hasn't paid for it just yet. He's waiting for some money to come in on a job he did. But
if I advance again up to a true rotary, I'll probably go with the Griffin Mongoose.
Okay, and that's pretty well known name brand.
Yeah,
okay,
Griffin.
I don't know anything about him, to tell you the truth. This is all something that he's into that I know very little about. But to me, it looked like a nice vice.
Yeah,
Looks like it'd do the job. So hopefully that'll work out for you. So is that it for the game bag this week?
I wanted to say something about Rich. I know that you used to fly tie, and I'm going to be emailing you pretty soon.
Yeah, we got an email last week from talking about, he asked why Michael hasn't been writing as much lately, and I said he's had his head stuck on the vise here pretty much and on the bench tying flies. He's been getting ready for bass season and panfish season, and he's tied a lot of flies here lately, and that's kind of where he's been. I know back when he was trying to get his Ruger 1022, he was trying to debate on what rifle to buy and what kind of scope to get and all that. He was
I would
talking to
email him like 3 times a day.
Yeah, so now that he found out, Bob, that you actually used to tie flies, he's going to be emailing you again here and getting back with you. So, although it might be a little troubling because the grades haven't been so good. We got a bad report this week, so he's limited to his internet time. And so the emails might not be coming out as much as he would like. But guys, if you're out there listening and you're a teenager, even if you're not, if you're a young kid and you're listening to the show, I know there's one guy somewhere down near Cincinnati who listens to the show with his kid, his younger son. And I'm going to tell you, if you younger kids that are listening, or even you teenagers, school comes first. Bottom line, as much as I love hunting and fishing and the great outdoors, you got to get your education first because, you got to be able to provide for yourself. And that doesn't mean go out and shooting animals and living in the wilderness. This is not the 1800s. And believe me, I love to hunt and fish as much as anybody. But when it comes to work, we got to take care of business before we get to go out and have fun. Right, Michael?
Yeah.
And you're learning the hard way this week, aren't you? So, it's fun to have, it's a lot of fun to get out and have fun with, your friends and family and fish and hunt and shoot trap and camp and, whatever you like to do outside. But education comes first, guys, because without it, you can't do anything. So that's my little education spiel for the week, I guess. Just wanted to bring that up real quick. So is that it for the game bag this week?
Yep.
All right. So the worrying about the duck die-off, we know why. So it was nothing chemically that caused that, which is good.
No, a lot of people thought that it was a parasite.
Or a parasite. That's another thing to worry about. So, there was something that was explainable. Although it be sad that it happened, it's nothing that's going to be really detrimental. It's going to cause a lot of harm in the long run. So,
I kind of thought you were talking about why. I wonder why people didn't feed them.
Yeah. To get back on that subject, I guess I wondered if all these ducks are down there in that area around Mount Clemens. I think it's Mount Clemens, Lake St. Clair area.
Yeah.
If they see all these ducks out there, why didn't somebody feed them? If they're out there in the winter and they know they're not supposed to be in the area, is it illegal to feed ducks in Michigan? I don't know. For recreational, in viewing birds. I know like turkey.
Well, we were feeding them that one time down there.
Yeah, down in Fenton. But I mean, you go out there and you're throwing a couple pieces of bread out, and they're floating along in the creek. But like with turkey, you can't go out and actively feed in areas where feeding is banned for deer. Like up where we hunt, you can't feed wild turkey up there because the things that you feed them is gonna, in the long run, hurt the deer because of the TB situation. The baiting thing, the whole issue of that going on up there. Is there something like that downstate here that would keep people from feeding the ducks and keeping them from starving? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. It's just something that I thought of when you and I were talking about earlier this week about that. But, just interesting thing that happened, and, we can learn by it. That's good.
Kind of weird.
Yeah. It's just, you hate to see that many ducks die off. So, so the ducks and the vise.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll wrap up the show here, but before we do, I just want to go over a couple little quick things. I don't know if I talked about it last week or week before last. We talk about so much anymore, I can't even remember what I'm writing on the blogs and all that. But come across a new website here. It's called camospace.com. It's like MySpace, but it's for hunters and fishermen and outdoorsmen and trappers and things like that. It's a hunting and fishing and outdoors community.
Didn't we have a MySpace too?
Oh, I opened one up on MySpace for the Up North Journal, but we never.
Got a whole bunch of crazy girls trying to be your friend.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of stupid stuff. So you know what? We never did anything with that site and let it go. It was more trouble than what it's worth. But I signed up for the Camo Space one, and I've been on here for maybe 2 weeks now. and not a bit of problem with it. It's been a real nice website to go and check out and enjoy. And it's, like I said, a community of hunters, fishermen, trappers, outdoorsmen, what have you. And it's really nice. But in a couple weeks here, we've got I think 22 guys that's kind of hooked up with us here and chatting back and forth. And I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple of guys here that are on the site that's hooked up with us here. Hunter on the Hill, Fob Nation, the Deer Hunter, Top Shot Archery, Runs with Deer, Eric Trapper, Hunt for Him, Down Main, and moving along here, Camo Climber, Duck Killer, Jimmy C, Fishing Fool Tim, and do you know who that is, Michael? Fishing Fool Tim?
That's got to be Tim Ford.
It is. It took me a while to figure out who it was. Yeah, he had me buffaloed there for a few. Ted Rutko, Real Mainer, Robbins Pete, Buckshot, LaRue Hunting, and on the last page here we got Able Outdoors, Hardcore Hunting Music, Mallard Caller, and the Administrator Fox. And just like to give a shout out to those guys. You know what? It's really cool to be able to talk to guys like that and, back and forth in the forums and all that kind of stuff. And you see what other people are doing. You see pictures. And, it's all good.
Mallard Caller kind of reminds me of Duck Commander.
I've seen the picture that he's got on his profile there. I've seen that somewhere before, and I think it's on Michigan Sportsman. I'd like to know where that picture come from. But, guys, if you get over there, check it out. It's it's camospace.com. And, we're underneath the username Up North Journal. And if you get over there, throw us a shout-out and join up with us, sit there and chat back and forth. But other than that, I did get an email this week from a new listener here in Michigan, and Kevin Foster, and that's the guy I said I was going to talk about a little later in the show here. He's going turkey hunting, I think he said in Missouri. So he's going to do a little out-of-state deal, kind of like what we are here in less than 2 weeks. So, man, we're getting close.
You need to start packing.
We got to get our stuff together and start putting our list together, and we're going to maybe start on that tonight. And other than that, we've only got 1 weekend left to kind of get things together. But, go out and check out a couple of these new websites that we're working on. And as always, we've got our blog site that we're doing. That's over at MichiganHuntingToday.com /hooksandbullets /. And our other web blog is over at upnorthjournalhunting.blogspot.com. And if you're still confused as to where everything's at, go to our regular website, upnorthjournal.com. And that's where our email links are. Yeah, it's our home base. We've got email links there to Mikey's Game Bag and to myself. We want to hear from you guys, man. Let us know what you're doing this spring. Let us know if you're turkey hunting, going out of state, if you're staying home and turkey hunting, what have you. And let us know how you do in the field. Send us some pictures. We want to see what everybody else is doing. It's a good time to be outside. So, anything else this week, Michael?
Nope.
All right. Well, that'll do it this week for us on the Up North Journal. We're approaching our 1-year anniversary. Hopefully, we'll have a lot to talk about on that show because that's going to be when we come back from our turkey hunt. And other than that, just as we always say here on the Up North Journal, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week.
See ya.